Behind the Shades.
Are there ways that you help your clients, the women you speak with, right? Are there ways that you assist them into being in the moment, not 5 minutes later on or the next day thinking, well, if I don't do this, he's not going to call me back? Like, how do you help them in the moment to stay in the moment?
Yeah, and this works for all genders. So, yeah, taking a breath and tuning into your breath, like particularly when you're with someone else, like coming back and checking in with your own body. Can you feel your own body? Have you gone off into your head? It's coming back into your breath. Something that can really help. It sounds really silly, but just like wiggling your toes, because if you've been up in your head, like wiggling your toes can bring you right back into your body. Um, and see where you're holding tension in your body. Are you tense in places that you don't need to be? Like, the more we can be relaxed, the easier it's going to be. And if in doubt, like eye contact is really helpful. Um, Breath can just be such a wonderful, wonderful tool. And touch as well, like really tuning into touch and what the touch that you're giving and the touch that you're receiving, and kind of feeling into the quality of that. Like, what kind of touch do I like? What kind of touch do I like to give? How are they responding to that? And checking in sometimes, would you like this stronger, or would you like me to back off a bit? And these kind of things can really help. I think as well, the more foreplay people have and really draw that out a lot more rather than just diving straight to it, this gives you both the opportunity to tune in with each other a lot more. And then you're more likely to be on the same page. And also for women, they generally need a bit more foreplay. It's a generalization, but generally men get aroused very quickly, they peak and then they're done, whereas women often will take longer to build up, but once they get built up they can keep going and going and going quite a lot longer. So to kind of match that, the more foreplay you have, the more even that's going to be.
Now, here's a question, and I'm glad that you mentioned foreplay because it's probably a million, well, due to inflation, it's $1 billion question right now. How important is foreplay?
Oh, it is. Right, it is one of the most important things. It's one of the biggest ingredients. We think of baking a cake, like it would be like the biggest main ingredient, I would say. And somebody very wise, who I can't remember who it was, said that foreplay begins when the last lovemaking has ended. So that's when we want to start. Start teasing, start building, start saying, I can't wait till next time, start dropping hints, start being in the zone with that and creating that anticipation. It is so important. It really, really is.
Is that something that is at the beginning and at the end of the actual intercourse?
Yeah, so we can look at foreplay as kind of the lead into everything that happens up until penetration, or whatever's going to happen. But it becomes a bit of a blurred line. I mean, where does foreplay stop and where does lovemaking begin? There's it is a blurred line there, because we can have so much fun, and sex is so much more than just penetration. There's so much more to it. So that's what I would say. And I would also say as well that aftercare is also really important. That spending time just to connect and spoon with each other or cuddle and just, hang out in that lovely fuzzy space afterwards is delightful and delicious, and is a really important part of the connection, because that's when we've got the oxytocin and all the cuddle hormones and everything else that is in the mix there. And it's a big part of it. Yeah.
I was telling one of my friends that cuddling is so important and it gets often overlooked, especially in the aftercare part of it, right? Like after everyone has climax and you start to descend from your peak. And another friend, she made a joke about aftercare, is that anyone who doesn't have aftercare, you might as well just leave the $100 bill on the table and just leave. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what sometimes it comes across as, right? Like you
Yeah.
finished, and then you can't wait to get your clothes back on and get out of there. What's some of the common themes when it comes to sexual blockades for the women that you deal with and you help?
So it can be, as we've already touched on, like I'm stuck in my head and I don't know how to get back into my body. It can be being stressed. Like stress is such a big one. Like stress is huge. Feeling overworked, lack of a good work-life balance. Like if you are stressed and you are overwhelmed, one of the first things that's going to disappear is your sex drive, because the body is going to take that energy and use it for survival. So that's a really big one. A lot of it can be stuff that we've grown up with, so conditioning, whether that's from parents, whether that's from church or other religious upbringings or community, being told from an early age that your desires are sinful and there's something wrong with you. Like all of that can really go in deep. Trauma, of course, is a big one. But sometimes it's as seemingly simple as, just a bad experience with a previous partner where they said something about your body and it was an offhand comment and they probably don't even remember saying it, but it's stuck. It's stuck, and that's hard to let go of. Yeah. And then sometimes it can be women that I've worked with who've had medical stuff. Let's say they've had bad childbirth experiences and they were dismissed by the doctors and weren't taken seriously. There can be all kinds of things. There's many different things. Yeah.
This is a conversation I love having because it takes me back to a time in my 20s where a friend at the time, she said that similar to what you just mentioned, there was a offhanded remark about her. And for the longest time, years went by. She's probably, at this point, she must be close to 50 now. And she said that anytime she wanted to be sexually intimate, it had to be in the dark. The drapes drawn, everything, right? Like now it's 2 p.m. where I am, the sun is shining. She could not be intimate during that time. Have you come across women who've experienced that? And if so, how do we help them?
Yeah. I've worked with quite a number of women who have never let their partners see them naked, like at all, or have needed to have the lights off. It's more common than people realize. The sad thing is then everybody feels like they're the only one. That they're the only one who goes through this, or they're the only one who feels blocked and shuts down midway through sex, or they're the only one that doesn't experience orgasm. And it's so much more common than people think. Yeah. And there's so much that can be done about it. There really is. So some of the clients that I've worked with who had real hang-ups about stuff, once we've been working together for a few months, they're like, oh, I've now decided I love being on top because that's the position that brings me the most pleasure. And I'm now starting to have all these amazing orgasms because I don't care what my body looks like. I'm not feeling insecure. They've not been on a diet. Their weight hasn't changed. Nothing has changed other than that inner sense of self and feeling pleasure from the inside out rather than worried what they think their body looks like.
And that's why I think for her, it starts because it's all in the mind. I haven't seen her naked, obviously, but the way she presents herself in an attractive way. But as you mentioned, it's not that uncommon. There's many of us who I haven't had an orgasm. I don't want my partner to see me naked. Even when you're in the moment and afterwards, they're under the blanket wrapped up until you get up and then they're getting their clothes on.